Judy should be with us.
Hi, Judy. Okay.
Hi.
Hi. Here we go.
Judy should be.
Okay, so welcome everybody to the CSM Museum and Study Collection, the Dean's Awards. My name is Rachel Dixon. I'm Dean of Academic Programmes for Fashion, Jewellery, Textiles and Materials, Products, Ceramic, Industrial Design and Foundation. What we're going to do is we're going to introduce each of, well, I'm going to do a quick welcome, then I'm going to introduce Judy, who is head of Museum and Contemporary Collections, just to talk a bit about what they do. Then we're going to introduce each of the other deans. We're going to look through some of the student work we've selected to acquire. Then we're going to introduce you to each of our lovely students, and then we're going to have a chat. So I hope that by the end of it, we'll go through the PowerPoint just at the very end. And if you have time, please go and get a glass so we can toast this lovely, wonderful, talented group of students at the end, and to the end of our preview as we head live into the world of the online showcase. So first of all, I'm just going to introduce Judy Wilcox. Hopefully you're here, Judy, and you can hear us all just to speak about the collection.
Thank you very much. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Great, thank you. So welcome to this event, everybody. It's really nice to meet you virtually. My name's Judy and I've been looking after the Museum and Study Collection at Central St Martin's for the last decade, would you believe? In fact, it's nearly 12 years now. And when I first started, I was telling everybody that we'd been collecting student work for 20 years, and that kind of stuck until recently I realised it's actually 30 years. So St Martin's School of Art merged with the Central School of Arts and Crafts back in 1989. And since then, every year, the museum has acquired a body of work from the degree shows. And the result, I think, is probably unique in the UK. In fact, I don't really know of another collection like it anywhere in the world, in that we have this extraordinary record of what our students have been producing. So you can see the way the acquisition of new technology drives changes in the design language. You can see how there's kind of a zeitgeist for working with something like light and shade. And I think it's just an extraordinary record of what has emerged from Central St Martin's in the last 30 years. And when I first started working here, I was really kind of the passive recipient of what got bought every year. And we put that to good use as best we could in teaching and exhibition. But in recent years, the museum has become much more proactive in saying what we would like to acquire. So I always have an idea on what we're doing in terms of teaching and object-based learning. And we're always keen to acquire works that enable us to have the discussions that we want to have in the classroom. And I see students coming through Central St Martin's now being very motivated by the big issues of today, by anti-racism, by social justice, by gender equality, and by the climate emergency. And so we've been really pushing for the collection to acquire work that speaks to those themes so that we can have the really challenging conversations we want to be having in the museum. And looking through the work that's been purchased this year, it's so exciting to see how you have responded to the pandemic, to how you've managed to produce the quality of work that you've produced, working on your own, sort of not having access to the resources you normally would. I just think it's extraordinary. And I'm really excited by the range of work that we've seen coming in from across the disciplines, grappling with all sorts of the big issues that our society's facing today. So I'm really looking forward. I'm a stuff person and an in real life person, so I can't wait for the real work to arrive in the museum and me to see it, you know, in glorious 3D. But for now, it's just amazing to meet you all online, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this event pans out.
Thanks, Judy. I don't think any of us could have imagined that we would be sitting here right across the world instead of in the platform bar, but we are. And I think it's frankly remarkable, just to echo what you said, what you students have managed to achieve is over and above what we could have ever imagined. But how could we have ever doubted that? You are Central St Martin's students after all. I think as Deans of Academic Programmes, we have the real joy and privilege at this time of year of being able to help select and collect work. And we had very particular thoughts about how we could, the work we were going to acquire spoke of these times. We're very conscious of our history in Central St Martin's, but I think what we would say is the history is important, but the present is probably more important because it speaks of what's happening now, but also speaks to the future of who we want to be. So that's why this range of work, how I approached it, was it had to be of now, but also signal a better place for us tomorrow. I'm going to hand over to Paul to introduce himself now, if you'd like.
Can people hear me? I've got a little bit of a catastrophe with. Oh yeah, great, brilliant. Okay, the tiny little bit of a technological catastrophe, or I actually can't see what's going on. So I've only really got a microphone at my disposal. Just to echo a little bit of what Rachel's been saying, these have been extraordinary times, very strange times indeed, and very challenging times, I'm absolutely certain, for a lot of people. So the response has been all the more incredible. And I think in relation to this opportunity, so as Judy says, we're very conscious that the museum collection needs to move forward. It needs to be contemporized by graduate work. Actually, you're all graduates now, by graduate work, and it needs to reflect something of the now and the contemporary. It needs to reflect some of the urgencies that we're faced with at the moment. And actually, like I've spoke to people before about this. We've already been through a fairly joyous moment already, because we've been through the exams boards and we know what everybody's achievements are, and we've seen quite a lot of the work, and that's been in itself, that's been a really rich experience, because people have more than risen, they've exceeded what could have been anybody's expectations. That makes this bit, the sort of decision making or the choice or the selection for the collection, all the more difficult, because actually you're looking at a real range and diversity of work now, and that diversity of work is important. We need to capture that, and it makes it quite difficult to then sort of narrow that down around a collection. But nonetheless, you know, this is the new online is the new normal, as far as I can tell. And some of that response that we've seen, and some of the reaction to the forced changes that have impacted on our sense of creative relations and social relations, it's been important to look at that, because some of that response is in direct reaction to this new online environment. Some of it's an exploitation of it. Some of it's to do with getting the most of a current situation, but all of it's an embellishment and enhancement of what students were capable of before. So we knew about the richness of student work before. So this has been an amazing moment where we've been able to look at a real quality and richness. And you'll notice when we get to it that quite a lot of what we've looked at and what we've chosen has been collaborative as well. Not necessarily to do with twos and fours of students working together, but collaborative beyond the individual as well. So I think that's very much a contemporary reflection. I've chosen words like
Has everyone else lost Paul? Yeah. I thought
it was just me.
Of course it wouldn't. There's so many of us in the room. There would of course be a technical hitch. Maybe perhaps if Rebecca can introduce herself whilst we get Paul back.
While we wait for Paul, of course. So hi, I'm Rebecca Wright, and I am Dean of Academic Programmes for Graphic Communication Design, Culture and Enterprise, and Spatial Practices. And I guess I'm going to pick up the themes that Judy, Rachel and Paul have started. And actually one thing really struck me when we started selecting for this collection was that normally in an academic year, we'd all have been walking around the studios and seeing this work emerge and develop. And it's quite strange as deans and practitioners, as we all are, to hear about the work that's being produced, to sit in the exam boards, to listen to your tutors, to talk to many of you through course committees, and yet not to see what you're making. And it was a moment of amazing reveal to see the work that you've produced, and it is extraordinary work in extraordinary times, but I think it would be extraordinary work whenever it was produced. It's perhaps the fact that our sensitivities and our interest is slightly skewed and informed by the space we all find ourselves in. And I think the work that really spoke to me was the work that somehow was about giving voice, as the others have said, to this moment and to your experience. But what struck me is how many of you have chosen to give voice that's both personal and public, that has a real poetry to it in many instances, but that's also truly powerful. And perhaps the fact that, in a way, we've all been working in slightly secluded environments, cut off from each other in the physical realm, that means that the intensity of a lot of this work, I think, is all the more evident. And there's a lot of questioning in the work. And that feels really important, that I think everything that we had assumed and perhaps taken for granted has been proven to be incredibly fragile. And there's nothing fragile about the work that you've produced, but it does seem to question a lot of the assumptions that we've made. I can't wait, like Judy, to actually see the work as objects, as the real thing. But the virtual experience of this work is also powerful. And that struck me, that it hasn't felt like looking at a poor relation of the real thing, that you're creating this work and we're experiencing it as kind of visceral, and that's wonderful. So my internet connection's now saying it's unstable, so I hope you can still hear me. But I think, just really to say a huge congratulations to you all. This is a time that we will look back on, I'm sure, and I hope, as an unusual time. But your work is a document of who you are now, who we are now, and where we are now. And it's really meaningful, I think, that CSM and the study collection, the museum, collects this work so that there is this very special record of that for generations that come afterwards to see. So well done. It's been a real privilege looking through your work. Congratulations.
Thanks, Rebecca. I think it's now time that we could let you all introduce yourselves, if that is okay. So let's see how we're going to do this in the world of technology.
Do you think we should? I'm back again.
You're back.
Yes. Rochdale's eventually invested in 1G, so I'm back now. So it's is it best to switch off the presentation so that we can see individuals when they speak? Is that good? Is that all right, Joe? Brilliant.
There you all are. Okay. Let's see if we could do this by alphabetical order. Would that be more democratic?
That is the challenge.
I always like the democracy of it all. Well, we've introduced.
Sorry.
What, Paul?
Well, does that mean Aziza goes first or what?
Oh, everything's changing. We've got Abby's coming up first on my list.
Abby's first. Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, just checking that's me and not another Abby. So my name's Abby. I'm on the MArch course, and my work is centered around social justice and kind of community empowerment. And over the past year, my work's focused on improving social infrastructure within council-owned housing estates around Old Kent Road. And it's in order to increase opportunities for existing residents in times of regeneration. So, yeah.
Great, thank you, Abby. We've got Anita. Is Anita here? Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, Anita. Hi.
I'm Anita Ritchie and I'm with the collective No Name. My work focuses on collaborating a lot. I'm a director, and the work we presented for the graduate showcase is all about collaboration, how we dealt with lockdown, and how you can still collaborate in a virtual space.
Great, thank you. If we maybe then introduce your collaborators, if we go out of order, would that help?
Should I say who my collaborators?
Yeah.
Rova, Jonathan Ansett, and Ifigana Garani.
Okay. Are you all in the room? Yeah, okay. If you wave and then we'll come to you in alphabetical order because it's getting confusing. Apologies. Aziza?
Aziza, we can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Is your microphone? There's a microphone glitch over there. Should we come?
We'll come back to you, Aziza. Yeah, don't worry.
Yeah.
We've got creative feature. Are they? Oh, they've gone.
Rosie and Annie, Rosie and Anne Fleur. Yeah.
Hi. Oh, you're here. Great.
Hey. We're Creature Feature. It's Rosie.
Rosie and Anna.
I'm Anna. And we're a collective of now 3 years. We started out we're in PDP, Performance Design Practice at CSM, and it's a 3-year collaboration, and this is what we've turned into ourselves.
We make film and performance, and we explore the grotesque and where art fits in the line between spirituality and religion and science and fact, and finding how that kind of mediates the two in like political and social discourse.
And we look a lot of that like through performance, like within BDSM as well as like within film, and we like to collaborate those in like time-based media.
Yeah.
And
in a nutshell.
And you've got a live event at 6:30 tonight, yeah?
You do.
That's
6:30 tonight. And
we put the link in the chat already if anybody wants to pop over.
6:30 on the 1st of August as well.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Lovely.
Iphigenia?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Iffy. I'm part of the No Name Collective, and I did the costumes for the project. I'm a designer focusing on both set and costume.
Okay, thank you. Janavi?
Hi, my name's Janavi.
Sorry, Janavi.
Focused on surfacing lesser known narratives. So I see myself as a designer and a curator. So I experiment with a range of mediums to find the best method of communication. And I work to connect objects to tell stories for lesser known narratives. So for this project, I focused on Black British history, and I noticed how it was deliberately excluded from mainstream British history discourse. So I found a way of creating visibility for the many Black people that are not spoken of and known about within Britain.
Okay, thank you. We've got Jo Harrison Hall.
Hi, I'm Jo. I'm a jewellery artist, and I'm interested in how society can shape the way we think and behave. And my latest work is surrounding ideas of germophobia and fear of contamination, and how hygiene practices and rituals have been created to calm us and to protect us.
Hi, thank you, Jo. Then we have Jonathan.
Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Great. I'm also here with the No Name Collective, and I did the sound for the film. I'm a musician. I play Scandinavian folk music on traditional flutes, such as this one. And I work with the genre and see how I can bring it into new performative contexts.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jonathan. Kaiva? If I have said that right, I apologise. In Irish, it would be Kiva, but...
No, it's Kaiva. Yeah, I'm Kaiva. I am also with the No Name Collective, and I am a choreographer for this film. And in general, I tend to work with live time-based art and direction. So yeah, I'm graduating from BA Performance Design and Practice this year.
Great, thank you. We've got Cleanthus.
Yeah, that's me.
Hi.
Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Awesome. So yeah, I'm Cleanthus, but sometimes I go by the name Divine the Third. So my works evolves around sexuality and identity, and I'm queering spatial practice by using either performance or narrative in order to disseminate heteronormative power structures and shine a light on the rapid closures of LGBTQ spaces in London in the past 10 years. Thank you.
Fantastic. Do you know, just to stop midway, it's so lovely to put faces to the work that we have seen, because we've seen it quite a few times. You know, we've seen it, we've discussed it, and now to see your faces and hear you speak brings it alive even more. So this is great for me. Lois?
Hi, I'm Lois. I am an art student. I would best describe my practice as the coming together of a few of my interests, architectural design being kind of the first and foundational one. But over the course of these 2 years, I've also got into journalism and storytelling, and just been really blessed that the course at CSM have allowed me to pursue all of those interests simultaneously and with kind of equal fervor. I think that's really evident in my graduate piece, which is a decarceration strategy for HMP Brixton, which takes on the format of a graphic novel.
Great, thanks, Lois. Mabel?
Hi, can you hear me well?
Yes.
I'm Mabel. I graduated from BA Graphic Communication Design this year, and I'm a designer specialized in 3D information design, in which transforming data into digital and tangible experiences and also experimental products. My design practice is located in a unique position, defining a new territory of tangible information design and also creating innovative experiences connecting people, life, and data. Thank you.
Thanks, Mabel. We've got Mariana.
Okay, hi.
Hi.
I am Mariana Heidemann, and I've just completed the MA in Art and Science. My practice pivots around my interest in scale, interconnectivity, and the ways in which the human world is a meeting point between microscopic and global scales. My degree project, running with mycelium, is specifically looking into the vast, complex, and mysterious kingdom of fungi.
Thank you, Mariana. We have Rebecca.
Hi everyone, my name is Rebecca. I was on the BA architecture course, and I'm a diaspora student, so that influenced a lot of my work. And I looked a lot into vernacular architecture and the use of sustainable materiality, and how light and material can work together to create spaces that give you an experience and create emotive responses. Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. Renee? We're nearing the end.
Hey. My name's Rini. I'm from Fine Art. That's all right, everyone does it. I'm from Fine Art BA. I like to say that my work explores the kind of immeasurable dimensions of Blackness through the lens of my own experience as a queer Black person living in the Black British diaspora. I suppose recently my work's been focused on the skinhead movement and like subcultural production. I kind of use this as like a metaphor to examine my own experiences living within the Black British diaspora, and also to excavate white jealousy, the continued legacy of colonialism, and the fear of a Black planet, which are all things that kind of find convergence within and upon my mixed race identity. So that's me.
Brilliant, thank you. Samantha?
Hi everyone. So I'm a multimedia artist, but the degree that I studied was textile design. My final project was based around identity and culture, celebrating the differences, but also understanding and bringing together the similarities between each culture.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Samantha. We have Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah. My degree show work focus on my parents and their migration to the UK, and how it basically influenced my own upbringing and sense of Indianness, and how home is not a stable place basically when two people are not in love anymore, and how that follows through my work. And so yeah, the work's really emotional, it's cute, and
it's a love story, so hope you enjoy it. I'm in fine art. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Scott.
Hi, I'm on the BA Performance Design and Practice course. I work in photography, performance, and dance. And my most recent works explore the relationship between identity and our movements. And I'm particularly interested in how inseparable our movements are from our experiences of race, gender, class, and ability.
Thanks, Scott. Okay, this is a mysterious one. We've got Taz. Taz's iPhone.
This is Sandra.
Sandra. Okay.
Hi.
Hey there.
I'm so sorry, I'm outside. I've been like installing an exhibition, and so I just had to run out.
That's okay.
Hi everyone, I'm Sandra. I just graduated fashion design at Prince at St. Martin's, and I'm really interested in the practice of decoloniality. My final project is called An Angolan Archive, and it's mostly interested in investigating and post-rationalizing about everyday objects that might be a lot more political than, I guess, political structures would want to admit, and investigating them. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Good. Xi Jingtong.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Jing Tong, and I study in MA Graphic Communication Design in last 2 years. So basically, my project discussed the intimate relationship between human and AI. So I made an animation describes the story of a middle-aged woman who lives alone and gradually builds a romantic connection with her chatbot. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Aziza, if you can unmute yourself now, I didn't forget.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Amazing, thank you. Yes, I'm Aziza, and I graduated from MA Performance Design and Practice. And my performance practice mainly looks at the migrant identity experience, and particularly migrants from Central Asia and Uzbekistan. And in my work, I aim to shine the light on this blind spot on the world map that nobody really knows about, and to kind of show how idiosyncratic the culture is, because it's been influenced both by communism and Islam and Zoroastrianism, and how this mix became what it is right now. Yeah.
Thank you. Amazing. And anybody who says that the creative industries, art, design, performance have no right or value in education should have just listened to that, because you are the people who are going to change the world for us. So well done, everybody. And I hope those people are listening who need to hear that, actually. What we're going to do now is just open it up. We're going to have a bit of a chat. And as we said, if you don't feel comfortable speaking too much, that's absolutely fine. It's just an informal conversation. I think what we're interested in is seeing what has changed about the way you think about making or practice, because in light of what's happened in the last few months. If you've had time to reflect on that, on how your work or your approach has changed because of the circumstances. Anybody, if you just put your hand up, we'll come to you. Yeah, Joe first, and then Cleanthus. Yeah.
I think I really took it for granted. I had the luxury of attending CSM and using the studios, and our work had to sort of change very quickly, obviously, because we were all in lockdown, and we had to propose it all and show it all online and digitally. And I had to remind myself that I was able to still use my hands, and it didn't all have to be on a screen. And so I had sometimes just step away and even make things using paper and clay to just sort of get that tactility back into my practice.
I think Cleanthus, and then we have Mariana. Yeah.
I think also Sandra wanted to speak.
Oh, sorry, Sandra. I can't, for your information, I can't see any hands if they're up. You have to use your actual hand. I know we're all virtual, but I need to see you. Okay, Sandra, sorry.
Thanks, Cleanthus. Yeah, I think it was a really interesting time to almost just naturally become emancipated from the structure of the school and understand that, you know, the last 4 years were really preparing us to operate in a quite independent way. You know, during lockdown, I continued working on my project, and in a way I felt that the work that I generated was so much more empowered and in a way relevant, because I was occupating, I guess through an unauthorized occupation, occupating a roof next to my house and existing in that space, building my own workshop based on what I knew from the school, and in a way even taking in consideration small things that actually are so important on an everyday basis, like health and safety. You know, I was emailing some technicians about how could I still comply with the health and safety regulations from the school in the roof in my house with no machinery, because I knew that, you know, being by myself, I had to be really careful about these things. So I personally think that as staff and I guess so emotionally charged this time was, it was an interesting opportunity to some extent become emancipated and understand what can be done without all the resources, but still with the knowledge that was gathered and accumulated during the BA.
Very interesting. Cleanthus, I think you.
Yeah, I mean, to add to all of this, I mean, first of all, I thought personally that I used a lot the facilities just before lockdown. I mean, I think I was fortunate enough to do that. And I mean, I guess most of us, we felt like we were living in that building, you know, and then all of a sudden you're just stuck in the confinements of your home with 5 other flatmates that also might be creatives and they need their own space. But then, encouraged by my tutor, I kind of drew my space and my extended like house and garden and front. And by just drawing it, I just discovered that it's like it was a space of possibilities. And then I've named it Divine's Dollhouse after my alter ego. So then the living room became a photography studio, the garden, I was doing casting there, and even realized and can make my front entrance as a performance space when I threw my 5-meter long dress from the 2nd floor window. So I think it was really exciting to, yeah, like Sandra, just occupy your space with your practice, you know? I mean, I'm doing it for other reasons, you did it for, you know, something else, but, you know, I think it was very powerful at the end. And I think we're trained, you know, we're designers, so we just, you know, we're gonna come up with a solution, you know, at some point. So, yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Cleanthus. Marianne, I think you wanted to come in. Mariana, so.
Yes, thank you. Well, I used to think about making as producing a finished product, which I would share with my audience. But this experience has made me think more about the story behind the making, the thinking behind the making, and the documentation of the making as something that is equally valuable as a finished product, or maybe even more so in terms of the meaning that is embedded in the end photographs or film. I mean, I've started working with film as a result of the COVID, and that has opened up a huge amount of possibilities for my practice. So I think the challenges brought in all sorts of new, unexpected dimensions that I wouldn't have explored if I had been specifically thinking about the making.
Okay, can I be provocative, because I need an answer for this because of the programs I represent and because I'm a maker myself. So we've moved into this virtual world and you've all created all of this amazing work. Do we still need to make those objects?
Well, that was an awkward silence. You've got 7 seconds to think about it.
Scott and Jonathan have hands up, I think.
Oh, okay. Scott, yeah. Hi, Scott.
I think for me, the thing that I've realized is that the personal becomes incredibly important in these kinds of spaces. And what becomes really powerful to share when we're all sort of existing this way is the personal experience, the personal space, the personal perspective. And I think that that is something that you can't commodify very easily, whereas objects can easily become commodities and can be consumed in ways that are maybe uncomfortable or unconsiderate of the artist making them. And I think that it's not so much about getting rid of the objects as it is like embedding them with the personal first, and like the experience first, and the perspective first. And it can become really alluring when you have all the resources and tools to make the most beautiful object, but that's easily taken and used by other people, whereas the most personal experience isn't.
Yeah. So do you think this experience has made you all more human, or your classmates feel more human?
I think just more aware of that humanity. It's harder to avoid. It's less caught up in other things.
Before my connection broke, before the words I was fishing for, and I don't know whether you heard them, were courageous, generous, and genuine, because I think that's been my experience of watching the work come to fruition and listening to all of you talk about your individual circumstances. The power of the voice has become really a focal point of everything. Now, that's partially because not only have we been through the pandemic and we're still in it, but we've been through really important moments where a spotlight has been focused for us on things like Black Lives Matter, on issues to do with the way that our society and our community has been traditionally divided and separated, and in many ways the sense of community has been put to test. So this has been a moment when we've all had to sort of face up to that reality, and you lot have done it and are doing it and continue to do it, and as Judy said, will be those voices in the future that put a new reality into place. So I mean, I think that sense of generosity is really clear when you look at the work, really clear. But I suppose the question is, how much of this experience has helped in sort of gathering momentum or power behind what you want to say? You know? Or how much of it is the word emancipation that Sandra used before? How much of it is to do with just a release and freedom to be able to say it without fear of contradiction?
You've silenced everybody now, Paul.
Sorry. I wish my technology would break again. Yes.
Did somebody want to come in? I missed a hand, I think, earlier. We were talking about objects.
Sandra, was that
Sandra.
you?
I think we had a hand from Jonathan.
You're just picking on people now, George.
No, you're right, you did. I just wanted to come at the question a bit from the lens of performance. The collective and I, we just finished a residency in a theater, and it was the first time while working in physical space for a long time. And when it comes to, I guess, creating, if the object is the performance, I think it's really important, because when we go back through the lockdown, we've done digital stuff now, but coming back with a live audience in a safe way, of course, and with a live piece of work, there was just something in that room which was different for us anyway. And in response to the audience as well, they were really, it was something about being back. I don't know, it's hard to describe. So I think it's very needed, both sides.
Do you think there's the past experience or even your time at CSM has changed your long-term view of who you are as a practitioner?
Yeah, surely. This place, it's allowed you to do pretty much whatever you wanted. There was somebody previously who said that they got to do several subjects, and I'm the same. I've got to explore several subjects. Other courses wouldn't have allowed me to do that, and that in combination with this experience, if there was one thing as a practitioner I say it changed, it was my attitude towards audience and the meeting with an audience. What is that? How to approach it?
Mariana?
Yeah, I definitely feel that my time at Central St. Martin has turned my practice around completely. As I said, I did the art and science program headed and run by Nathan Cohn and Heather Barnett, who through that program have made a platform that has enabled me to bring together two sides of my thinking and my interests that I didn't know how to fuse. And through those 2 years, I've learned, and I think that my degree project shows the kind of conclusion of that push and pull between wanting to be making and creating, but also thinking and researching and learning and communicating. So I definitely feel that this time at Central St. Martin's has allowed me to map my way and find my own personal way to resolve that problem.
Thank you. I think I have Creature Feature with a hand up.
Hi.
Hi.
I think the one thing about CSM that was the biggest change for me without doing my practice before, then coming into here, is just the people that I've met there, and I wouldn't have met them anywhere else apart from at CSM. And that's how I met my collaborator as well, like Rosie. Like without that, like wouldn't be where I was today, and like just like talking and manipulating our practices. And
you learn a lot from, like, I think just being in an artistic environment and surrounded by artistic people. Like for me, I don't come from a family that has any kind of like artistic background, but like being around, constantly talking about art and making art and experiencing art, like you almost learn just by default from seeing how other people have approached things, and having that constant exposure, I feel like has really helped us grow. And for us, we were very lucky to realize that we worked well with each other from the offset, but the journey in which our practice has taken into its development has definitely been bouncing off each other. And I don't think we would have created anything like we have now, or to the same quantity, if we didn't have that like bouncing off each other. And it's also like you learn a lot. I've learned a lot from Anna about movement, because I'm not really into that at all, whereas I'm always trying to get like sound and tech stuff done.
Visual.
Fantastic.
Been really interesting actually during COVID. Like we have just been trapped inside a room, and we've made like 5 different sets in the same room with like all these different things and cardboard boxes piled on top of each other. And we wake up every day and we're like, wow, we're in a mountain full of stuff.
Yeah. It's been good for once to have all the things and collect all the things, at the dismay of my family and also housemates. But yeah, it's been great. I mean, it's not been great, but having sometimes limitations kind of push you further. When you have too many options, I think it can be really daunting and overwhelming. And for me personally, that sometimes stops me actually making anything. Whereas surprisingly, I think I've made more work during the lockdown than I actually did earlier on in the year, because there was no distractions and it was very therapeutic as well. It was a coping mechanism in a lot of ways.
Sandra?
Sandra, yeah.
Sorry, Paul.
No, I was just
I was also going to say that, you know, often I feel that when we start the course at CSM, we are quite sure about what we want to do, and as we go along, we start being so exposed to many different courses and practices and practitioners that we start understanding the actual spectrum of what is possible. And I really feel that, you know, as a fashion student, I ended up with, you know, a project and a sort of a beginning of a practice that perhaps touches upon a lot more things than fashion would usually or is at the moment. So I think, you know, going back to what you guys were just saying, being exposed to all of those people and tutors and technicians and different artists really sort of opens the possibilities for what we initially think we could do. And by the end, instead of seeming like a closure, it seems like a new door. At least I feel like that. I feel like the final project is really the starting project. I was calling it a starting project from the beginning of the year, because I just felt that final project was a bit scary. But yeah, I feel like it just opens so many possibilities.
I think that's a wonderful way to put it. If for all of you, if you now could go back and tell yourself in September 2019, what would you speak to yourself? What would you say?
Cleanthus.
And then Cleanthus, yeah.
Never doubt yourself, not once, because time is precious and you never know what's going to come in a month's time. So yeah, I think we learned actually during lockdown to not like doubt ourselves anymore. And responding to the last question, I mean, I don't think I would have been able to pursue the project that I did in any other school, because I come from the architecture course, and trying to incorporate queerness into architecture, into a very male, straight dominated profession, it's just a very hard thing to do. And even so, using drag performance as as a way to express your project. So I'm just very, very grateful for that, and I just wanted to add that to the last question. But yeah, never doubt yourself, not once.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Samantha, I think you wanted to come in.
Yeah, I tell myself to relax. I think obviously because of the the status of the uni and having to do all the work to get in and the stress of it all, you almost feel like and rightly so, you have to keep up that momentum and make sure that you're doing the right things to make sure your work is progressing and you're progressing as a person. But sometimes I think for me, speaking on myself, I felt like I was so rigid with everything because I wanted everything to be a certain way. And I think sometimes that can take away from the creativity, because you're not really free. You're doing what you feel like you need to do, not what you're naturally made to do. So that's something that I've definitely learned. And have fun with every moment, with people that you meet, and be present, have conversations with people at lunch, even if you are just a little bit 5 minutes late for your lesson. Sometimes it's not that big of a deal. So yeah, that's what I'd say to myself.
Thank you, Samantha. Aziza, I think I saw your hand up.
Yeah, what I wanted to say is quite similar to what Samantha just said. Just do not spend as much time planning as you have. Don't just keep planning and making sure that everything goes in a certain way. Experience and meet people, because as soon as the lockdown happened, I realized that's it, that we were not going back to CSM. We were not experiencing the same kind of level of camaraderie and helping out each other and meeting new people. Although surprisingly, I did meet a lot of new collaborators through Zoom, which is a very interesting experience. I'm really happy that happened. But yeah, I would tell myself to just experience more.
Great, thank you. Anybody else? Janavi?
Hi. So in September, I would, similar to what Cleanthus said, I would say don't doubt myself, because as you can see now, the work that I'm doing and the work that everyone's doing is very valid. And I know how I can use my skills and my knowledge to actually help and to further a cause. So yeah, don't doubt yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Rini?
I was just going to say keep being a gobshite, because it's obviously it's obviously worked out. It's obviously worked out for me. So yeah, I think, but more of it, more being a gobshite and more standing my ground, because I feel, and I would say that to everyone as well, because it's not very helpful to be the only one who's always trying to fuck shit up. It would be nicer if there was other students who were more willing to compromise themselves for the greater good. So I would just say to myself, yeah, keep being a legend, keep being a gobshite, and yeah, just relax, don't take yourself too seriously, I think is very important. I think I still do take myself a bit too seriously, and in lockdown it's been nice just to relax and not feel like I've got that everything has to be for an audience. I think that's the main thing that I learned, because like working in the studio and stuff like that, like everyone can see everything and everything's just like it has to be very meticulous, and it's been nice to be a bit more secretive with things and to hold things closer to my chest and be like, no one's allowed to see this yet until I'm ready for it to be revealed to the world. So yeah, keep being a gobshite, everyone.
Rini, you've just been quoted. Martha's just quoted you in the chat there, so there you are. You're in the public domain now. Stop being a gobshite. Gobshite and proud. Yeah.
I think we need some badges. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think I had a tutor in my final year of my degree who said to me, if you didn't ever have an audience for this work, would you still make it? If nobody in the world saw it, would you still make it? And that still sits with me.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly how I'm trying to take that energy through, because I feel like, especially as a Black queer person, we're constantly having our identities and our work kind of fed back to us through all of these mirrors of society, and it's nice to keep it quiet and personal for once, and like not having to like spill everything out. And like, yeah, I don't know, it's nice. It's been nice.
So how does the virtual showcase feel to you all? Does this feel like a moment of meeting an audience or reaching an audience, or does it still feel, I don't know, like you're somehow in this virtual space? So it is a very different type of degree show, but I'm really interested in how you all feel about this moment. There are smiles.
Well, there's Mariana. With Mariana's got her on.
I wonder how much of our imagination plays a part in this, because every single one of us is in our own personal space and we're judging something. I mean, the way that we're interpreting it has so much to do with how we're imagining that things are happening on the other side. Like in relation to the degree show, we have no idea how people are, in what context people are looking at our shows, what spaces they're in, who they're with, how they're navigating, what route they're taking to navigate through. So we just have to imagine something that is fantasy. And we really don't know unless maybe people tell us exactly what they did. So I think that that's going to be an interesting aspect. It's not a collective experience, really. It's very individual. So.
Yeah, I mean, the feedback's going to be sort of mediated. I mean, I think there's already one or two little articles floating around in the media already. But I mean, the reality of the physical degree show normally is that we don't really know who's there in the room. We know that it's somebody's mum, somebody's dad, somebody's brother, somebody's sister, somebody's mate. They might be half cut, they might be on drugs, they might be there because they got lost, you know, sort of thing. We don't really know. And so you actually get all that sense of people being in a room, but you don't quite know why they're there. And in this instance, the people have been removed. We don't know, they're on the other end of a computer somewhere. But the feedback we're going to get is either through your genuine connections with other people, or through that mediated vehicle of just journalism. And it's starting to filter through now. So we should get a good look at that. I think, again, though, you've got to trust each other. And that's where having faith in your own ability, having faith in each other. That's your new community. That's who's going to take you forward. That's who's going to make opportunity in the future. That's
what I was about to say, Paul, that actually it's been really lovely listening to the conversation and watching heads nodding in agreement as each of you talk, and thinking that this opportunity to see each other's work and hear each other talk about work doesn't really happen a lot outside of your own courses or your own kind of networks. And make sure that you look at each other's work. I think that you are such an important kind of peer group of colleagues now, and there's such interesting parallels or contrasts or tensions between the work. But I think that sense of community, it's truer of Central St Martin's than anywhere else I've worked, that once you've studied Central St Martin's, you are always Central St Martin's, kind of for better or worse. And that means that there's a real opportunity for you to stay and to build that community and to use it and to challenge it. And I think that's super exciting, because you're a generation now, because of the way that you've had to work in isolation and then in community, who will have a different approach to staying together and connected. So it's really exciting. We are all very, very excited to see what you do next and to follow you.
And very proud as well.
Very
I think it sounds like but I mean it. It's been quite an incredible time for us, because we've been working a lot behind the scenes trying to make sure that things work out for you. But to come to this point and see the work and see what you've managed to achieve is magnificent, actually. I don't know whether there's any other word to put it, but it is It makes me extremely proud. I know Paul and Rebecca feel, this is the best part of the job.
Sounds like time for a toast.
Yes, because I'm conscious of time.
I've just emptied my glass.
Okay. Well, you can't toast with an empty glass, Paul.
Something in there. I mean, it is 3 minutes to 6, and it's important to do that last minute. Sort of like, well done, all of you. You've been brilliant. Right on cue, Martha's arrived with the wine, so that's good. Well done, Martha. And also, I mean, Joe, is it worth putting well, whoever's watching, visit the website, visit the platform, look at this work. It's really, really important work. Because it's in the collection, I hope we can activate that work on your behalf. I hope that people could come to that work and find it, not just because of its importance to you as individuals, because of its reflection on society in general, and because of its importance to future knowledge. So thank you for that. And, we'll do our best to make the best use of that work we possibly can. Well done, everybody.
Cheers, everybody.
Congratulations. Well done.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, proud of it. Yeah, can we get Zoom moving around? Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Yep. Good luck.
Shout out to my parents. I'm sorry. I just feel like they collaborate.
Yeah, do it.
Yes.
Like, it was really their work, but yeah, sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, was that a pop of a cork? Yeah.
Yes.